certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. This is going to be another fun one today. We're going to be talking about Danny Elfman movie scores. And I've got a fun panel here. Over to my left, we've got Tony. Tony, how's it going?
Hi, it's doing well. It's been a beautiful sunny day in England, so I may fall asleep halfway through this because my brain just turns off when the sun's out. So if that happens, I don't apologize. I've already warned you. It'll be funny to hear me snore.
Also, here we've got Joe. Joe, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty much the same as Tony, to be honest. Been a very, very nice day over here and been enjoying it, but not quite. A little bit sleepy, but I'm sure I'll power through. I usually do.
And also here we've got Stephen. Stephen, how's it going?
It's going well. Looking through Danny Elfman's resume, I was surprised by some of the movies that he's done. So it should be a fun list.
Yeah, like Danny Elfman is one of those ones, like all the other composers, to be honest, that you go through their filmography scores, like you get surprised by half the ones that pop up. But how this works, and especially for people, one person will nominate a score, then the other three will say yes or no, and if it gets some more yeses, then it makes the list. As always, and that's all you need to know, really, and then at the end we rank them. Tony, you kick us off with the first score you're going to bring up.
Okay, so the first score, I think I'm going to go for one of his biggest. Granted, it didn't win him any Academy Awards, but I think this is the one where it's truly, I believe, even when listening to the podcast interview he did with Mark Maron recently, he mentioned this as being one of his proudest ones, The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's like Henry Selkman directed, obviously. It's produced by someone a bit more famous, and we're probably going to talk about his work a lot more since him and Elfman work together. But this one really, not only does it give the bombacity of what Elfman can do, there's some really fantastic music in it. He is also the voice of Jack Skellington, singing voice of Jack Skellington, I should say, and the voice of Barrel. So, The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is how.
Joe, what do you say about Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yeah, it is a fantastic score. I know it's not Tim Burton directing, but obviously it's Tim Burton's style is in there, and Danny Elfman and Tim Burton just gel. They gel so well together, and when it's something, and Tim Burton's involved, and it's Christmas, and it's the macabre, and it's Danny Elfman, it all seems to go well. And like you said, because Danny Elfman does a singing voice, I think he tailors that score around that singing talent that he has, and it just all blends together wonderfully.
Stephen, what do you say about Nightmare Before Christmas?
Well, I gotta be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the movie, but his score is one of the better. Is actually probably the best thing about that movie. So I'll say yes.
Yeah, this is an easy yes for me as well. The score is fantastic, and if you haven't watched it, go watch the movies that made us, because he talks about the score, and it Night Before Christmas actually started off with all the songs written before they actually had some sort of a plot to the movie.
Nice.
So, there's a whole lot of issues with this. I'm actually surprised we actually got this movie in the first place. But if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's actually really interesting and explains a lot. But Night Before Christmas is the first one to make this list. Joe, what is your first nomination?
I think it's a surprise, being where I come from in the trivia realm of inner geekdom, that I'm going to pick Batman.
I did not see that coming.
The Batman score is one of those iconic superhero scores. Again, it's his work with Tim Burton. It's the way his score just perfectly complements the worlds that Tim Burton creates, and also it is so iconic that 30 years, 28 years after the original, he still touches those little notes of the score in the score he does for Justice League. Just those little hints of that original Batman theme just comes in there because it stands the test of time, and it's just a wonderful score.
Stephen, what do you say about Batman?
Today, I would have said that this was my favorite score of his, but it went down to second place as I was looking over, listening to some of his other stuff. But what the best thing about the theatrical release of Justice League was when Danny Elfman's iconic theme was brought briefly to the movie. But yeah, obviously this is one of my favorites. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this is another easy yes for me. Is like this one is so iconic that they decided to use this theme for the theme song to the animated series as well. That just transferred over easily. I think they may have changed a little bit of it, but
Yeah.
Well, I like Elliot Goldenthal's. I like Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard, and I'm sure Michael Giacchino is going to do a fantastic job as well. But there's just something about this one; it's amazing.
And Tony, what did you say about Batman '89?
So most of my vote doesn't count because on principle I have to say no.
He doesn't like putting IG stuff in.
Pardon?
You just don't like IG stuff.
No, it's not IG.
FPTL.
I think that Batman is a good theme. The issue is there's soundtrack to it as well. That soundtrack is done by Prince, so that instantly makes it fucking terrible. If he chose any of the Batman films, but Burton did and Elfman did, I would have agreed 100% yes. But because they're that fucking Joker song by Prince,
Who do you
Love that.
Who do you trust?
Prince. So just on principle, because it involved Prince in some way, shape, or form, I have to say no.
But with that, Stephen, what is your first nomination?
Yeah, I'm surprised how many superhero movies he's done. And my favorite of his, I counts as a superhero movie, and that is Darkman. I love this score. It's it fits in so much with the tone and style of that movie, and it's just really cool. Yeah, so it's my favorite score of Elfman's.
Darkman is on the table. This is one that I actually haven't seen myself, but I am listening to the score in the background because I thought, well, I'm going to bring up the score anyway because that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if I haven't seen the movie, but the score sounds great. I'm going to give it a slight no, though, because I do think there's other ones I have on my list that is better. Tony, what do you say about Darkman?
So I don't remember much of the movie of Darkman, but I remember that the music plays quite an important role in the fact that there's a lot of it where musical sequences stuff happen and all of that. So I'm going to say yes because this is really a film where Elfman gets to actually crack in and like, oh, he's got minutes of uninterrupted time to be able to work and create with music, and it just works really well.
Which means, Joe, you are the decider. What do you say about Darkman?
Again, Elfman's work with Burton was quite well known, but obviously he has worked with Raimi on several occasions. And again, Raimi is one of those directors that brings that slight macabre style to some of his work, and I think Danny Elfman is the perfect choice for that. And Darkman, I thought was a very enjoyable film, and the score plays quite an important role in that, and I will give it a yes.
So just to go for a little bit of variety here.
You're going to choose what I was about to choose.
Oh.
I don't know. I will find out. But I'm going to go for one that I had no idea that he scored, and because the movie itself is not that good. But I actually do like the score for 50 Shades of Grey. Um, I think the score is interesting. It's one of those ones that when I heard Danny Elfman score, I was like, really? Someone wanted to score that movie? But the score itself is interesting. I think it kind of does complement the movie as well. So yeah, 50 Shades of Grey. Let's see what happens. Tony, what do you say?
You picked the wrong one. Elfman did all three, but there's one in particular I might bring up later that it is like the movie is trash, but this soundtrack is absolute killer. You put it on later now, you just feel just like this. Yeah, it is. But yeah, first one, 50 Shades of Grey, not really for me. But yeah,
Joe, what do you say? Joe, what do you say about 50 Shades of Grey?
To echo the gentleman above me previously, on principle, I can't.
And Stephen, what would you have said about 50 Shades of Grey?
I would have to abstain because although I have seen the movie, I don't remember the score at all.
But with that, it goes back to Tony.
Okay, I'm gonna go for one thing I nominated for an Oscar for, one of his first, because he bizarrely got nominated for 2 Oscars in the same year, for 2 different categories. I'm gonna go for the non-geek one. This is something that I put on in the background when I'm working, when I'm not having to listen. This soundtrack is beautiful. The score is wonderful in it, and it just has this darkness to it as well as light, and just everything about it just works so perfectly. And especially if you put it into the movie, if you set it in that, if you just are watching the Boston setting of it, everything just works so perfectly for Good Will Hunting.
Joe, what do you say about Good Will Hunting?
This was had Tony not chosen it, this was going to be my next nomination. We spoke so much in the last few choices about how Danny Elfman sort of blends into those worlds of Raimi and Burton so well, but this one is such it's so different to those scores. Like Tony said, for The Nightmare Before Christmas, he gets to go into that sort of that bombastic realm for films like this. But with Good Will Hunting, it's so slightly understated. It's a fantastic score and has my vote.
Stephen, what do you say about Good Will Hunting?
Yeah, when I was going through his filmography, this is one that I was surprised he did, and it's a great movie, great score. So yeah.
Yeah, I would have suggested as well. Good Will Hunting is a score that works for the movie, and it. But yeah, Joe, what is your next nomination?
I'm also going to go away from Burton, Raimi, and sort of the better known scores he's known for. And again, it's still a slightly bombastic world, but something we don't necessarily see from Elfman a lot is a more noir style score. And that is why I'm going to put up there the score for Dick Tracy.
Damn you. That was my next one.
Again, I think sometimes a noir score can be they can be quite similar between different movies, but I think when you've got obviously the music coming in as well, stuff like the stuff that Madonna sings when she's playing Breathless from Honey, and that I think his score, it encapsulates that world, and that's one thing Elfman's been really good at. He gets the bombastic or the macabre world of Burton, but here he understands the noir score, and I think it's just a perfect score for that movie.
Stephen, Dick Tracy's on the table. What do you say?
Well, I've actually never seen the movie, but right before we were doing this, I listened to several of compilations of several of his stuff, and this was one of them. And yeah, it sounded like a really, really cool score. I enjoyed it a lot, so I'll say yes.
Yeah, this is another one that I watched for this because because I know, but Matt Kearns would have yelled at me if I didn't even give this a listen because he loves Dick Tracy. But yeah, the score is great. And this is one that I think should belong to your son. So yes, Tony, what do you say about that, Dick Tracy?
Yeah, I was gonna agree. I think some a skill that Elfman has, but not really many of it direct composers have, is the sense of they can bring this non-reality world in with music. They build this layer of just like, okay, so I know this isn't my world, but just this is helping me draw in. I think that really works well with what Trick Tracy he does with Dick Tracy, the choices that he does there, and everything like that. So yeah, 100%. It was going to be my next pick.
Stephen, what is your next nomination?
I will choose Meet the Robinsons, which I think it's a very whimsical and sweet, at times touching score, and I love the movie. And yeah, that's my next pick.
Um, yeah. So I did watch Meet the Robinsons yesterday. The score is I find the score rather forgettable myself. So I'm probably going to lean towards no on this one. Tony, what do you say about Meet the Robinsons?
Never seen it.
Joe, what do you say about Meet the Robinsons?
I know my team's partner does enjoy this movie, but unfortunately, it's one of the few Disney animated movies that I haven't gotten around to yet. But it will be coming soon because I have to. But so yeah, I'll have to abstain, unfortunately, as I've not seen the movie or heard the score.
But for my next pick, I'm going to go for a movie that you can find on a show on this guy's channel, Unearth with Paul Carriola, because I didn't realize that Danny Elfman did the score for this, but Danny Elfman did the score to Freeway.
Oh, nice.
And this is one I really do love the score in, because when I watched it for the first time when Bill was talking about it on his show, I thought, it's on Amazon Prime for me. I'll watch it. I found the score to complement this weird movie really well, and it wasn't until when I was looking at his scores, I found out that Dan Elfman did the score for this. So I was like, this is what I'm definitely bringing up, and I'm sure Bull will be yelling in the chat if he's watching about this coming up. Tony, what do you say about Freeway?
I'm trying to remember it. There's a lot in that movie that I struggle to not remember. But a lot of people do sleep on Freeway. It's a fantastic film. You should go watch it. Keith Sutherland, Reese Witherspoon is absolutely fantastic in it, and it's this ultra dark take on Little Red Riding Hood. But I honestly, I can't really remember the score in it that much. But it's like mainly because whenever I think of that film, I just think of Keith Sutherland being the absolute devil.
But Joe, what do you say about Freeway?
Got to say, I've not seen this one. I've not heard the score, so again, I'll have to abstain for the second time in a row.
Stephen, what do you say about Freeway?
It's been so long since I've seen the movie. I don't remember the score, and it's not a movie that from what I remember from it, that I particularly care to revisit.
Unfortunately, Freeway does not make the list, and we go back to Tony.
All right. I think we probably should get round to hitting some of the Tim Burton big ones now. This one, Elfman has gone on record saying that it's his favorite one collaboration with Burton, and I think it shows really well. And just as I mentioned, that non-reality style of music that he creates, this really comes into this film of Edward Scissorhands. I think it's this is the movie where you go Elfman and Burton as a pairing. This is the one that you think of because it's just the two mesh so perfectly well together.
So Edward Scissorhands, what's
Edward
it?
Scissorhands. Yep.
Joe, what do you say about Edward Scissorhands?
It's Tim Burton, it's Danny Elfman, it's Christmas, it's macabre, it's bombastic. What is not to love about this score? I can't really say anymore. It's high. It would be high on my. It's high on my list as it is. It gets my vote in a heartbeat.
Stephen, what do you say about Edward Scissorhands?
Well, this is a movie that I need to rewatch 'cause it's been a while, but I did listen to the score, a little bit of it earlier today, and it is a great score. So yeah, I'll definitely say yes.
Yeah, this is an easy yes for me as well. The score for Edward Scissorhands is really whimsical and fun, and it's just complements the movie well, and I think that's what you want in a good score anyways. Like complements the movie and just sort of seems like its own thing while just not overtaking what you're seeing. So Joe, what is your next nomination?
I'm going to stick. It's tough because I've got two I really want to get on here, but I'm sure I'll get another go. So I'm definitely going to go with. I'm going to another Burton and Elfman collaboration, and again one of his absolute best scores. Again, creates that world, and well, not just creating a world, creating an afterworld as well. The score for Beetlejuice is again just one of those scores that just brings that world to life. It's one of those skills, as Tony said, that Elfman has. It's a perfect score and it complements that movie perfectly.
Stephen,
what do you say about Beetlejuice?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite of his. It's a really fun score, and the music's just great, and I love the movie, so definitely yes.
But yeah, I love Beetlejuice, and it's one of those ones that if it's like the score is great. I remember a lot of the songs like Deo and all that more, but Beetlejuice is great, and I do love the score, so I'm saying yes. Tony, what do you say about Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice's movie sucks. I don't think it's funny. I don't like it. He's got Jim Davis okay in it, but I just hate a lot of the most of it. The only saving graces of this film is the score. Danny Elfman does a fantastic job with it, and it helps build the world of Beetlejuice, even if that world is made of utter shit.
But Stephen, what is your
Your
next?
hot takes are shit, Tony.
But Stephen, what is your next nomination?
Well, I'll stick with Tim Burton, and this is a movie that I haven't seen in a long time, but I listened to the score, and it's a beautiful score in a movie that I remember being really good, and that's Big Fish.
That was going to be my next nomination. So it's a yes from me. The score for Big Fish is great. It's definitely one of those movies a lot of people forget is Burton because it's not overly weird. It's a weird movie, but it's more normal for Burton, if that makes any sense. Tony, what do you say about Big Fish?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. But it's one of those. It works so wonderfully for the film, just like everything about it just cracks on perfectly. So and it's not one where it's like, oh, here are all my typical hallmarks. Here's everything I normally do. Here's my Hans Zimmer, blam. But it's like he really puts himself out of his comfort level.
And Joe, what would you have said about Big Fish?
Big Fish is one of the few Burtons I have yet to see yet. It is on the list, so I would abstain from this one.
But with that being said, it's back to me. I'm going to now that I don't have to worry about Big Fish not making this. I'm going to move away from Burton, but I'm going to go into a different director we've already talked about. Because if this one never comes up, we're going to have a riot in the comments. I'm bringing up Spider-Man 2. This is one that I was going back and forth in my head of which Spider-Man 1 or 2, but I've ultimately settled on 2 because I think what he did with 2, although like the main theme itself is basically the same, he did do some extra themes and stuff for this one, and I think 2 is probably the better score of the two if you take out the title theme out of it. So I'm going to Spider-Man 2, see what happens. Tony, what did you say about Spider-Man 2?
My next pick was going to be Spider-Man 1.
And so was mine.
Yeah. So I disagree with you in the fact that you said that Spider-Man 2 score is better. I think that the original Spider-Man is much better. It's better. And also, I think whilst X-Men is the film that really revitalized the comic books in the 2000s, that's what everyone was copying. But no one really copied the music of X-Men. That was its own thing. No one really tried to do that. But Danny Elfman's score for Spider-Man especially was the one that people were aping for the next 10 years. That was the one that that's what Hans Zimmer was listening to in Man of Steel and all that jazz. And it's just so I think that one's the better one. That's the more important one. Spider-Man 2, it's fine, but if you're picking one of them, it has to be the first one for me.
Well, what I will say is just to save one of you wasting your thing on just doing the first Spider-Man, I'm going to change it to the first Spider-Man just so it makes. As I said, I was tossing up between the two because it's really hard for me. It was really hard to pick between them, but so I'll change it to Spider-Man 1. Then that way, you don't have to waste a vote going for the other one. So, which means so Tony would see Joe sees makes the list regardless. Stephen, what would you have said about Spider-Man?
I would have said yes to either one or two. I love the score to them.
But Spider-Man makes the list. We've got 3 spots left. Tony, it's on you.
Okay. Wait, you can do that? All right. I've got a few in mind, but I don't want to just keep going just to the same old tropes. So what I'm going to do. All right. I'm going to do. So doing a score for a musical is very hard because obviously, you have to balance this perfectly of just I can't take away from the music, I can't take away from the songs, but I have to do something that fits in with it all as well and everything like that. And what he did for Chicago really is a testament to how good of a composer he is, because he was able to create this undercurrent for the music, and it just worked so well. And just he laid the groundwork, and then they were able to put the performances on top and just make it so much more greater.
Joe, what do you say about Chicago?
Well, I agree with Tony, to be honest. A lot of musicals won't have a composer. They will have the music written for the songs, and that will be it. There's sometimes you will check out, there'll be no composer. And to have someone like Danny Elfman come in and create that score to complement the music, but to also complement the film itself, it's a very tough job. And I think something that Elfman doesn't get as much recognition for compared to some of his more famous scores, as we've already mentioned. So yeah, I guess my vote, definitely.
Stephen, what do you say about Chicago?
I'm probably going to have to abstain from this because the songs are great, but I don't really remember the score itself because it's been a long time since I've seen the movie.
You know what would be a good thing to do? You watch it tomorrow, and then on Monday, Digested Cinema with Aaron and Christina, they're doing Chicago. So you watch it tomorrow. Listen to Digested Cinema.
But with with that being said, yeah, this is tough because I do remember the songs more. I do have a vague recollection of the score, but sadly, I am going to have to say no, just because I kind of on Steven's side here. It's like, I don't really remember the score for Chicago, but I will rewatch it maybe after this or later. Then I will probably say in the comments when I do the poll that I was wrong about saying no to it. But with that being said, Chicago doesn't make this list. Joe, what is your next nomination?
Why not? There are certain franchises that stick with the same composer throughout. But when you are doing a score which your main theme has already been written for you, but it's creating that score around that. And then having that score emulated by the likes of Hans Zimmer, Michael Giacchino, Joe Kramer, Lorne Balfe, all emulating that original score from the original Mission Impossible. Although the main theme itself was already provided for him, the rest of the score, it has that spy thriller element to it. And again, something not necessarily in Elfman's wheelhouse at the time. He had done the Burton, he had done the superhero, he'd done other movies of different genre. And so to go move over to the spy thriller genre, although that main theme was already there, I think his score for Mission Impossible is fantastic, and that's why it's been kept and emulated by the other composers throughout the franchise.
But Mission Impossible is on the table. Stephen, what do you say about Mission Impossible?
It's always been my least favorite of the franchise, but the score is great, and so I'll say yes.
I'm sorry.
You like you like two more?
I think 2 is underrated. I love 2.
The thing about 2 that gets me is that if you watch Moulin Rouge, then watch Mission Impossible 2, and figure out Richard Roxburgh's range.
But with that being said, I love the score for Mission Impossible. This is one that I didn't realize it was Danny Elfman. I just assumed they took the exact same theme from the TV show, put it at the start of the movie.
Oh, yeah. That's what it did. The actual that's actually from the TV show.
I say the main theme was written, but it's just the following score.
Yeah. But because of that, I didn't think anything about who composed the actual rest of the score. That's kind of what I was going when I was starting with that. But yeah, I'm happy to say yes to this. Tony, what would you have said about Mission Impossible?
I would agree. I think not only is it good, it also shows how ingenious Elfman is. Because Alan Silvestri, up until like late post-production, was doing the score. He had 20 minutes recorded. He had it all down. Then Tom Cruise saw a rough cut with the music in. Said, "No, I don't like this." And they fired Silvestri. And it was like, I think Elfman had like a span of weeks to just go, "Okay, here's a movie. Make music." So the ability to be able to do that was just like, "Okay, mate, you're good."
Silvestri was fired?
Silvestri was fired.
Oh my god. I did not know that.
But with that being said, Stephen, what is your next nomination?
All right, I'll go with not a superhero movie, but based on a comic book. And that's his score for Men in Black is awesome, of course, and it's just a really fun score. So that's my next choice.
Yeah, I love the score for Men in Black. And this is one that, for me, I love the score in the whole trilogy personally, but the first one is definitely the best. So yeah, Men in Black is a yes for me. Tony, what do you say about Men in Black?
Yeah, 100% agree. This one I've been just circling the train of, all right, when am I going to pick it? I probably should pick it sooner rather than later. But yeah, this is just fantastic. It's just so lively. It fits so well with the movie, and also it does this wonderful thing of not of being able to live with the Will Smith song. Because if you ever listen to the score and then listen to the Ben and Black song by Will Smith, you're not going just like, okay, this was done by two completely different people. This was like, this is terrible. No, it actually all fits kind of similar.
And Joe, what George said about Men in Black.
I love the score for Men in Black. It's a fantastic score. I've been just trying to not just be the typical IG guy and just put all the IG ones on there, but it is a fantastic score. And with this, I believe that gives us 3 out of his 4 Oscar-nominated scores.
Mm-hmm. No one's going to pick the 4th because I'm allowed to say this. That movie sucks.
I don't remember what it is. So
we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Honorable.
It could be Malcolm's next pick. We don't know.
So I'm going to try and see if I can figure out which this franchise is the one Tony was alluding to earlier. So I'm going to try for 50 Shades Darker. And I said earlier, when we were talking about the first 50 Shades. 50 Shades is not a franchise you would think Danny Elfman or any composer of class would want to compose. But the score itself is actually really good. The movie itself is trash. It's not good, but definitely not worthy of having Danny Elfman to score it. But the score is good. I think it belongs on this list. Tony, what do you say about Darker?
So we did on Fancy Film Fights a good few months ago. We did favorite scores, and this one got brought up. And I'm still getting messages telling me that I'm an idiot for picking this. And also, you should go and watch it for Chance Allison's reaction to me picking it. Film Fights every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. GMT. But yeah, I agree. This is a score that works really well. And it's a shame that it's attached to such a shit film, because it will never get the gratitude that it does. But literally, it is one of those ones where you just put it on in the background and it'll just help you relax and just feel better. Or do other things.
But Joe, what do you say about 50 Shades Darker?
In the words of Cosmo Kramer, I'm out.
Stephen, what do you say about 50 Shades Darker?
Never seen the movie, and never heard the score.
Sadly, it is not making this list. We're not going to get angry comments in the poll going, why is 50 Shades on this list? But Tony, what is your next nomination?
All right, my next nomination. All right. There's one that I keep looking at, and I don't want to do it because I don't want to do another Burton film. Every time I'm looking at anything else, my eyes just keep getting drawn to that one and going, oh yeah, that one would work. So I'm going with 2019's Dumbo, because this film, it had no reason to have good music. Like the original has some of the best Disney songs of all time. There is no way you should touch this with a barge pole. You just literally go pick up what they did, put it in the movie, and it's fine. Let Burton do what he wants. But the way that Elfman is able to modernize it, keep it and feeling that same vibe of the time period, and also just make this wonderment of it as well. Just actually does it incredibly, and it's one of these ones where, sadly, the same as the 50 Shades, he doesn't get credit for it because it's a film. It's a film.
But Joe, what do you say about 2019's Dumbo?
I saw a lot of movies in 2019. Dumbo was not one of them, so I will have to abstain.
Stephen, what do you say about 2019's Dumbo?
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I mean, I have seen it. I mean, I'm one of the ones I actually did enjoy Dumbo. Just with the fact that this is one of those live action remakes that didn't feel like a remake per se because they added a lot to the original. And I felt it was more sort of kind of fleshed out than what they did in the animated one. I like both versions, but I mean, we're not here to talk about the actual movie anyway. I like the score. I would have said yes, but sadly, it is not to be. Joe, what's your next nomination?
So there were 12 that I noted down that I wanted to try and get on here. 3 left, but 2 IG and 1 not. And I think just on the side of what I think is the better movie, and also again out of these scores, something that's different from everything else that's on this list, and also kind of in memory of someone we lost not that long ago. I'm going to go with this score for Midnight Run.
Ooh. Oh, it didn't. Really? It did Midnight Run.
Aside from being a fantastic movie, again, this is something outside of what we're used to from Danny Elfman, and it perfectly complements that. The movie itself, the frustration from De Niro and some of the more substantive moments from the late great Charles Grodin, and for that reason, I'm going to put Midnight Run on the table.
Midnight Run is on the table. Stephen, what do you say?
Well, I love the movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it was part of the compilation that I listened to earlier to prepare for this. And as much as I love the movie, I found it to be not one of Elfman's more memorable scores. I thought it was fine, so I'll probably say no.
Yeah, I've never seen Midnight Run myself.
Oh God, you got him, man.
Yeah, you gotta amend that.
But it is one that I was going to. I did just put the score on in the background, just to listen to a little bit of it. And I like the score. I'm going to actually say yes to the score for this. Tony, what do you say about Midnight Run?
This was his 5th film. How? No, I legitimately, I always thought that it was like a Jerry Goldsmith, someone like that, someone like most prominent in that time period, and just like, oh, yeah, it's just an 80s composer did it, and it's great. No, he was still Ungo Bongo, Danny Elfman, whilst he released that. Well, yes, 100% yes. He did this. He did this at the same time fucking Back to School came out.
But that Midnight Run is going to be the last one to make this list. Stephen, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I mean, we already had Batman on the list, but my next one probably would have been Batman Returns. I think it's different enough that even though I tried only to put one per franchise, I think there is enough. It's different enough from the first that I would have probably brought it up next. I also love what he did with Hulk and Red Dragon. And I know a lot of people don't like the movie, but I listened to some of the score for his tapes earlier today, and I thought the score was pretty good, actually.
But yeah, like for me, some of the honorable mentions that I was going to bring up, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is this was his first major movie score that he did. He did one other movie before this, but this is his first sort of major film studio. Scrooge is another one. Somewhere out there, Ethan Bella is screaming about Nightbreed. I really liked his score for Goosebumps, and one I didn't actually realize he did. He did an MCU movie. He did Avengers: Age of Ultron. I didn't realize he did that until I was looking this up, and that's what I probably would have put up next, just because it sounded so much like Alan Silvestri you would not have known, and especially after hearing he got a gig after Alan Silvestri anyway is really interesting. Once again, Tony, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, just a couple quickly. So I would have gone next probably with Dead Presidents. I think that's a really underrated one, but he did. And Flubber for just this the fanciful kids friendly amazingness that he did there. Simple Plan, Corpse Bride, which pretty much is what he did for Nightmare on Nightmare Before Christmas. But just tweaks a little bit, and yeah, and then the last one it would be Oz the Great and Powerful.
And Joe, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I had Avengers: Age of Ultron. Also, Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. I also really like the score for Mr. Peabody and Sherman. I think that's a really fun score. Again, I had the Spider-Man's. Also, Sleepy Hollow, I think, again, is another one of his Burton ones that really sort of captures that world really well. And also, I quite like the tense score of the sort of tense suspense score of the next 3 days as well.
Yep. And Garth's number one is Good Will Hunting. We'll see if it makes number one for us when we do the voting right now.
But just with milk. Terrible film.
Yeah.
Horrible. Yeah.
It was milk. Yeah.
Sucks.
But with that, we move on to the voting. So how we do the voting is we write down on a whiteboard or a bit of paper, whatever you got handy, what you want at number 12. Then we go on doing each step, and if it's got the most votes, it will win. If it's in a tie, Garth breaks it. I mean, there's 4 people watching, so whoever comments in there first will break it. But Garth is the one that's been commented most frequently. But Tony, what do you have at 12?
I have number 12 for me. I'll probably go for Darkman. I think it's good, but the rest of them are a bit more memorable.
Joe, what do you have at 12?
It's got to be the only one I haven't heard, the only film I haven't seen on this list, so it's Big Fish.
Stephen, what do you have at 12?
Oh, well, I didn't think Midnight Run was going to be chosen, so I went with Mission Impossible.
I went Darkman, so Darkman is going to be number 12.
The smell of new pen. Malcolm, I think you need a few more board games.
I could do it for 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, I think so.
I think my brother, who lives in Colorado, he has a lot of board games too.
I love board game.
Oh yeah, I know Jen Kemp has a lot of board games as well. Top 12 board games might be to random topic at some stage. But Tony, what do you have at 11?
He deserves all the credit for it, but I'm going to go Mission Impossible.
Joe, what do you have at 11?
Again, I'm going to keep at the bottom because it's the only one I haven't seen on the list, so it'll stay Big Fish until it goes on the list.
Stephen.
Yeah, still Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I've still got Mission Impossible. I put Mission Impossible.
I'm now tempted to see how far I can push Big Fish.
You can push it. Like I said, I'm not saying it's not a good score. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve to be higher on the list. I just have to put it at the bottom because it is the one I haven't seen or heard.
All right.
Yeah, go visit Garth's store.
Hey.
That's Garth's equivalent of buy our shit.
Joe. But Joe, what do you have at 10?
Yes, Big Fish still.
Stephen, what do you have at 10?
Well, just because I'm not as familiar with it, I went with Dick Tracy.
I went with Edward Scissorhands. And Tony.
I decided to go Lego, Little Fish Cardboard Box.
Talking about the video store, Big Fish is at 10. If you're wondering what that comment was, they did a Big Fish trivia match at one stage.
If you haven't checked out the match, which is entirely in Spanish, it's brilliant. I tested it. David didn't realize that I have a moderate understanding of Spanish, so I did okay.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely some of those questions like, I know that just because I recognize the name.
The easiest one to get was the one that had the words Meg Ryan Orgasmo Restaurante. I'm like, oh, I think I know this.
Sleepers and Gal. No way.
Stephen, what do you have at 9?
I'm keeping Dick Tracy.
And I've got Beetlejuice. Tony.
I got Midnight Run.
Joe.
I think compared with the others on this list, I think Dick Tracy.
Which is going to be 9.
Yeah, Dick.
Tony, what do you have at 8?
I'll stick with it. Midnight Run.
Joe, what do you have at 8?
Yeah, the iconicness of some of the other ones on this list. Midnight Run.
Stephen.
Midnight Run.
Yeah, I actually decided to change it in the end. I put Midnight Run, so
Clean sweep.
Yay.
Well, it's just now it's going to start getting tough.
Yeah.
Just to recap what's left, we got Night Before Christmas, Batman, Good Will Hunting, Beetlejuice, Spider-Man, and Edward Scissorhands. Men in Black.
Yeah, I think.
Joe, what do you have at 7?
Edward Scissorhands.
Stephen.
Spider-Man.
Ooh, Edward Scissorhands. Tony.
I had Men in Black. Darn it. Why do I keep rubbing out after every time?
Yeah, I did it the same when I put Edward Scissorhands earlier. Like, I ended up changing it to Beetlejuice for some reason.
No, just after every time I keep rubbing out, I'm going to write the same thing. I can see them where I wrote it previously still on the board. I'm just like, I wonder why I'm running out of pens.
But Stephen, what do you have for 6?
Still Spider-Man.
I realised I didn't actually change my board, but I'm gonna go Beetlejuice.
I'll stick with Men in Black.
And Joe.
Men in Black.
Do, 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 do.
I know where I want my top. I know what my top 5 are, and Men in Black's just outside.
Yeah.
Got 5 left. Night Before Christmas, Batman, Good Will Hunting, Spider-Man,
Beetlejuice.
and Beetlejuice.
I think I should swap 4 and 5.
Tony, what do you have for 5?
I'm going for Man Spider.
Joe,
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Stephen. I think you muted. I couldn't quite see what was yet written down.
He's still got Spider-Man.
He had Spider-Man.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. But I put Beetlejuice, but Spider-Man is going to be 5.
Now I'm playing the game of protect my number 1.
But they 50 Shades Darker didn't make it on the list, Tony. But I've got Beetlejuice at 4. Tony, what do you have it for?
I got Beetlejuice as well.
And Joe.
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Uh-oh.
And Stephen.
We got a tie. Nightmare Before Christmas.
So we're going to the chat. Nightmare Before Christmas or Beetlejuice at number 4? But Garth got in first, and it is going to be Nightmare.
Darn it. That was the one I was hoping to end up being number 1. So just to clarify, the final 3 that we got is 89's Batman, Good Will Hunting, and
Beetlejuice.
Sadly, that one can't be used for a mashup on the trivia thing Tony does.
I hope you got all those ones I sent you, Tony.
I do.
But Joe, what do you have for 3?
Beetlejuice.
Stephen.
Beetlejuice.
Oh no.
Beetlejuice.
Oh no.
Only. And Beetlejuice is going to be at number 3.
Well, send him back.
I mean, I don't think it works if different people say it. I think it has to be the same person 5
I
times.
just did it 3 times.
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
But instead of writing down number 2, we're going straight to number 1.
Okay.
Ooh.
And it's between Good Will Hunting and Batman.
This can't happen.
Now, this is going to be interesting, but Stephen, what do you have for number 1?
I mean, it's probably one of it, if not one of his most iconic scores. So I went with Batman.
I mean, iconic doesn't mean best, and I'm with Good Will Hunting. Tony.
Good Will Hunting.
Joe.
Might surprise you. I won't. Batman.
Which means we do go to the chat to decide the number 1. Batman or Good Will Hunting?
Please don't pick Batman. I don't want to be on a thing where something that Prince was involved in wins. It just would hurt my soul. I tortured Judd.
Party Man is a great song.
It's not. His voice is fucking terrible.
And Stardrew did get in first. It is going to be Good Will Hunting.
I mean, I don't mind that. I think Good Will Hunting is an incredible score.
Well, I mean, it's one of those ones. Garth said earlier, his number one is Good Will Hunting. If he changed it up and went Batman, I'd be worried. But with that being said, just to recap our top 12 Danny Elfman scores. At number 12, we've got Darkman. At 11, we've got Mission Impossible. At 10, we've got Big Fish. At 9, we've got Dick Tracy. At 8, we've got Midnight Run. At 7, we've got Edward Scissorhands. At 6, we've got Men in Black. At 5, we've got Spider-Man. At 4, we've got Nightmare Before Christmas. At 3, we've got Beetlejuice. At 2, we've got Batman 89. And number 1 is Good Will Hunting. But
good list.
But I will have a poll for what you want next week's topic to be up on the Tape View page in a bit. Next week is going to be the 150th episode. So earlier, a wee while ago, I did ask which of our lists you would like to see a redux of. So the topics will be lists that I've done before, but we're going to be doing again potentially with a different panel as well to see how different they will be. And is this going to be a big list? It's going to be 10 options instead of the usual 5. So nice. It's going to be interesting. But Tony, where can people find you online? As if we haven't plugged it throughout the show.
I'm shameless whoring. I know that. You know that. And that's why you like me. Feature Presentation Productions, best way to find me. YouTube, we do a plethora of shows. Feature Presentation Movie Trivia, the bi-weekly game shows every 2 weeks now, where we get 4 random players, 3 random games. It's a ton of fun. That's every Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. GMT. Fancy Film Fancy Peg Gubbins every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. GMT. We take a random film topic and draft it fancy style. This Wednesday, we had Most Fuckable Cast with Amaru, Christina V, Ben Goddard, Paige Fabretti. That was a ton of fun. Next week,
yeah, you went elite there, Tony. You went with the elite.
I have no choice in the matter. I just get told by Peggy, this is who we're having. Yes, miss. That was a fantastic episode. This Wednesday, we are doing great Disney characters because we thought we'll keep it rude, we'll keep it all bad like that. But yeah, that's all grand there. Also, a ton of other shows like Unearthed Bill Carriola, That Made Your List, Dave Goodyear, now showing with Aaron J, and Digest Cinema on the podcast feed. Yeah, ton of stuff. Please like and subscribe, and thank you very much for having me.
Joe, we can find you online.
Usually on Twitter at Joe Ed Farrelly or Letterboxd Joe Farrelly. And you also find me competing in movie trivia wherever movie trivia is found. Just come in and also appearing on panel shows like this, just talking about movies because it's much more fun than being under pressure for having to answer questions.
And Stephen, where can people find you online?
Facebook, Letterboxd. Basically it.
And you can find me on Tape 3 hosting this Rankum every Saturday. Poll will be up as soon as we go off air. And that you can find me every 2 weeks doing Late Night Tape 3 on Sundays. And over on Full Metal, you can find me hosting Full Metal Classic on Sundays as well, which is typically after Tony's. And you can also tomorrow you'll be able to find the Boy Meets World Full Metal Random Match. That will be dropping just after Classics. So that being said, it's a lot of fun, and until next time, just keep listening shit as it